Hello and welcome to this video guys, my name is Pros and this is a World Tanks video on the AT8. So this is my sort of videos where I give you the tips and advice and I give you the stats of what the tanks are. So I'm going to jump straight in with the stats because I don't have long on this video. The gameplay wasn't that long, so I'm going to run through the stats, and this is with the stock upgrades, the stock tank. So as soon as you buy it, this is what you get: 800 hit points, 340 engine power, a speed limit of 20, a traverse speed of 18, a hull armor of 203, 102, and 102, no turret armor, standard shell damage of 56 to 94, standard shell penetration of 83 to 138, a rate of fire of 26.09, a turret traverse speed of 26, a view range of 330, and a signal range of 400. And if my voice sounds a little bit off there, it's just because I'm tipping my head. But basically, this tank, for me, I was really struggling with it. I didn't even get to the first upgrade, which is I think 9,000 XP, and for me it was just a very difficult tank to use. Every game I was in, I struggled. For me, this gameplay you're seeing now is the best game I ever had with the tank, and obviously I don't have it anymore. And yeah, I don't know what happened with it. It just really struggled with it. The good points of 800 hit points is actually really good for tier 6. That's not bad at all. Not many tanks are going to be doing loads of damage to you. Obviously, with that the hull armor of that thing, the frontal armor of that thing is insane, and the sides are awesome as well. Obviously, like most tank destroyers, the hull locks, the rear is a problem, but the thing with some tanks, that obviously a lot of hull lock tanks do struggle when getting penetrated from the back. So obviously, faster tanks get around them, or more maneuverable tanks get around them, and then just start laying into you. And with, like, say, the Stug or the Jagdpanzer, they move a bit faster, so they're a bit easier to counter those guys. With the AT8, it's just dreadful. As soon as someone gets behind you, you are really screwed. And to start with, the gun is just dreadful. 56 to 94 damage is awful, and that's what made it a very difficult tank to use. Obviously, for the first 9,000 XP, then when the games you're playing, until you get that first 9,000 XP, you're just a support player, just dealing out constant damage. And for me, I can't handle being that slow. 20 kilometers an hour, which is obviously on a straight road, like flat land, and a lot of the places aren't. And with this tank, which I've really struggled with the Churchill 7 as well, is if you commit to one side of the map and then everything's going on the other side of the map, or you need to help a teammate on the other side of the map, it makes it very, very difficult to actually get there and be useful and be helpful. So for me, it just doesn't work. I really didn't like it. The best way to do it is the best way to play this tank for, like my point of view, guys, is just if you go down sight lines, choke points where everyone's going to be. This tank works quite well in the map you're seeing. Can't quite remember what it's called, but these maps where you're quite close quarters, you've got a towny bit, and you know where they're going to be. It's quite predictable, and if you're not, you're going to find them quite easy as well, because it's not a massive area that you've got to scout around. Things like Sand River or Westfield, if you commit to the wrong side of the map, or you get stuck on the hill and you've got to try and move up the hill, it's going to be very difficult. But yeah, basically I would go with just play quite a really defensive role. Obviously, it can take a lot of not a lot of damage, it can take a lot of hits because it's going to bounce so much. So you're going to be earning steel wool in no time. But the health is really good on it as well. Like you can take a decent amount of hits and still have your health. Obviously, with the AT8 and the AT2 and things like that, they have noticeable weak points that a lot of people know. Obviously, the top of the commander's hatch, that is a weak point on all those tanks. So there are obviously weak points on all tanks, but this one's, I think everyone just knows about the AT2 and the AT8. So that's something you'll be careful of. And just stick with your heavy tanks, your big badass tanks. They're going to give you protection, because at the start you're going to be doing like 40, 70 damage, something like that. You will be bumping up obviously to like 110, and it gets like 150. I think the last one is. But obviously you're only a support player. If you're fighting against tier 6s, other tier 6s, and then tier 7s and 8s, you're going to be just dealing out constant damage, keeping the attention away from your tank destroyers that are a little bit weaker, like your Jacksons and your Jagdpanzers. So you're basically a support player, taking hits, taking a bit of damage, but dealing constant damage, because the penetration on most British tanks is amazing. So that's one thing you can always rely on with this tank. It's got a lot of penetration, and you're going to be penetrating anything and just dealing out constant damage, being a very supportive player, which is awesome for a lot of people. But for me, it just didn't work, and obviously that mixed in with the speed limit. For me, this tank just wasn't that great. I've got the price here as well, 940,000, which is a lot for a tier 6. Yeah, very expensive. I guess actually most tier 6 is around that, but it's very expensive. The best time to get this is if they do a like a reduced time window, wherever it is, reduced silver, then that's obviously a really good time to get it. But guys, if you use this tank, let me know what you think about it. Just leave some tips in the comments below for other people to look at as well. So guys, I'll see you next time. Cheers.